Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, what's up? There's actually a flag like sub channel on the Discord. Go join the Discord, by the way. The original link to this video will be at the tip top of the description. The Discord link will be right below that. Copy paste that in there. Love for you to join. But there is a channel in that Discord called Vexillology, I think. Right? And I guess it's about maps. I'm just gonna type in Vexillology. The study of history, symbolism, and usage of flags, or by interest in flags in general. All right, yeah, and I guess surprisingly, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. They're very significant to every country. But yeah, so you know, take a look at this video. Why are purple flags so rare? I have no idea, but I'm excited to find out. Let's do it.
Flags. Every nation has one. Some are rectangles, some are squares, and some are Nepals. Some, like in Scandinavia, have common symbols like crosses. And some, like nations in Europe, have similar colours, except for Lithuania, who apparently didn't get the memo. Yet one colour you won't see very often on any of the flags in the world is purple. And in fact, only 2 modern flags have the colour in them. Which raises the obvious question, why? Why are purple flags so rare? As many of you will know, the colour purple was the colour of royalty and was historically associated with Roman emperors. The reason for this was that purple dye was, to put it mildly...
Yes, I knew that. I feel like I might have heard that before, but if you asked me what's the color of royalty, I probably would have gotten it wrong right there.
Historic flags so rare. As many of you will know, the colour purple was the colour of royalty and was historically associated with Roman emperors. The reason for this was that purple dye was, to put it mildly, very, very expensive. There was one dye in particular, Tyrian dye, which was especially coveted due to its deep colour. So flags have been around for...
I was waiting to see if it was gonna... Doesn't red... Can't you mix red and blue? Can you just mix the red and blue dyes and...
For a very long time in their use as battle...
That would have been obvious. There must be a reason.
Standards can be traced back thousands of years to India. There was one dye in particular, Tyrian dye, which was especially coveted due to its deep colour. So flags have been around for a very long time, and their use as battle standards can be traced back thousands of years to India, China, and the Roman Empire. However, it was during the medieval period in Europe that banners, saints, flags, India, China, and the Roman Empire. However,
you got red and blue dyes and those right there. Just mix those together. You got purple.
It was during the medieval period in Europe that banners, saints, flags, and royal standards slowly took root as becoming an easily identifiable symbol of nations. This one isn't a joke, by the way. The French royal coat of arms was just a field of white. I'm not being...
I was gonna say, come on.
Mean. Anyway, since Europe is where the French royal coat of arms was just a field of white, I'm not being mean.
I love you, France.
Anyway, since Europe is where flags morphed into national symbols, we'll focus on there. You would expect that kings, given their constant need, is where flags morphed into national symbols, will focus on there. I'm not...
What is he saying?
Being mean. Anyway, since Europe...
I'm leaning in to see if I can hear, even though I have headphones on.
Europe is where flags morphed into national symbols, we'll focus on there. You would expect that kings, given their constant need to one-up each other, would have picked purple for their colours, but again, I need to stress this, it was extremely expensive. So, with one exception, none of the older European states ever made use of purple as a national expensive. So, with one exception, none of the older European states ever made use of purple as a national colour because then they'd have less money to spend on wars. One group that made great use of the colour purple was the papacy, and cardinals wore purple robes. Now, Europeans had been trying to make their own purple dye for centuries by simply dyeing red cloth blue, but the results were mixed. The best they could do was this purple, which was then promptly adopted by the Kingdom of...
I like that.
But the result...
It almost looks like tasty, like an ice cream I would like.
The best they could do was this purple, which was then...
That's I like that.
Promptly adopted by the Kingdom of Castile and Leon for their flag. As time went on, Europe's kingdoms became nations and their national symbols became entrenched. Most of these nations then became empires, and so their own limited range of flags dominated most of the world's heraldry until the 19th century. But what about when these empires collapsed? What about the new nations formed from them? Well, for the nations which broke away from the Spanish Empire...
See, I brought this up in a video I just watched before. Where does Spain... I could figure this out with a simple Google search, Wikipedia. But whenever we think of giant empires in history, we think of Russian, maybe Chinese at some time, but Russian, Mongol, British Empire. But Spain has got to be... I mean, look at that.
Empire, or say the United States, new nations formed from them? Well, for the nations which broke away from the Spanish Empire, or say the United States of America, purple was still extremely expensive at this point. In fact, it wasn't until the 1850s that a synthetic purple dye was created, and thus only nations created after that would likely have a purple flag.
Now, it's
extremely expensive at this point. In fact, it wasn't until the 1850s that a synthetic purple dye was created. Expensive at this point. In fact, it wasn't until the 1850s that a synthetic purple dye was created, and thus only nations created after that would likely have a purple flag. Now, it's important to remember that purple is used by the papacy and royalty coloured people's opinions of it. When you look at the nations which broke away from the world's imperial powers, most of them were republics and many of them were Catholic.
Cool. So by the time it had become more accessible, there was this kind of new purple dye that was more accessible, less expensive. The fact that it had been linked for so long to royalty, it was kind of don't wear that or people might think you're need to go to the guillotine.
So for them, purple was tainted. However, there was one notable exception in history, Spain, who after the overthrow of its monarchy in 1931 adopted this amazing flag, which you will notice, big old purple stripe.
I like that a lot. Spain also had this good flag. I'm not sure like what it represents or whatnot, but it was just red and yellow horizontal lines. Kind of like the American flag, but without the stars and the blue. Honestly, the American flag, I mean, I like it and everything. I don't think it's the most aesthetically pleasing flag, but Spain seems to be on their flag game. I like the horizontal lines of the red and yellow.
Now, in Spain, 1931 adopted this amazing flag, which you will notice, big old purple stripe.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now, in Spain, red and yellow were associated with the Kingdom of Aragon, and purple with Castile and Leon, which is why it was added to the flag. And after the Spanish Republic was Francoed, its flag returned to this, and purple, due to its lack of history in flags and its association with the Catholic Church and monarchies, never took hold as a major colour for flag.
Okay, and their flag now is also great. A+ to Spain, in my opinion, for their flag game.
I hope you enjoyed the issue with the Catholic Church and monarchies never took hold as a major colour for flags. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching.
Thank you for making History Matters awesome channel. Go check them out. If you've ever watched my channel, you've probably heard me mention them many times. They're also almost at 1 million, which they deserve so much. Stay tuned, guys. Hope you're doing well. See you guys either later today or tomorrow. A lot of you guys are not. Only like 8% of my viewership are American, which I don't mind at all. I like it that I have a big international audience. British audience has been growing a lot. Thanks all of you over there. Everyone in Europe, a lot of everyone, every country around the world, wherever you are. If you're subscribed, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. See you guys next time.